Hey everybody, I'm Zafir, and this is another episode of No Love Lost 2.0. And today we have,
Maurice.
and we're going to get into some topics about why did you leave your family home, how's that affected you, and where are you at with that now. So today I'm going to start it off, and I'm going to tell you guys I left my family household when I was 18. As soon as I graduated, I graduated in June of 2010. I left my family home by September of 2010. Um, my family's biggest thing was, oh, wait a minute, you're gay? I'm like, y'all been knew that. I've been bringing dudes here, beating it down. So it was just like what it came back to is I said, y'all want me to go? Y'all want me to leave? Oh, I ain't gonna be homeless. I went right to my stepmama house. I went right to my daddy ex-wife house, and I lived there my first year of college, and she took care of me. I ain't paying no rent, and it was a vibe. So that's pretty much why I left. Was it based on what I wanted to do? No, but I did what I had to do. So that's what started the motivation for me to be independent at 18 was basically being pushed out to do it on my own. And a lot of the times, people don't understand that we're not ready. And even if you're not ready, they want to charge you rent. They want to start asking you for things. And I'd be like, damn, like 18 mean that I'm not a kid no more for you to take care of. Like even if I work, like come on, how much am I really working at 18 going to college and having friends and having a life? You know what I mean? So it comes back to sometimes I feel like parents will push you out, not realizing you're not even ready.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like I wasn't ready, even though what caused me to move out of my mother's house, I did it on my own. I'm the one cause of and the reason for that to have happened. Because if it wasn't for me, I would have probably been living there well into my 20s, I feel like. Only because I was sheltered and I was used to the lifestyle that I was living. So, yes, the reason of me leaving my mother's house was negative, but it turned out positive because I would have been where I am now. I would have got the things that I've got. I would have done the things that I've done, negative and positive, because the outcome of me leaving my mother's house was at first negative. And I was going through it. I was homeless basically in the beginning of it. I didn't have nowhere to stay. I was staying at my friend's house at first, but then afterwards, after a while, her mom was tired of me living there, so I had to go stay with my sisters. Between both of them, I would hop I would hop between both houses, basically just sleeping on the couch, or my other sister would have to have me sneak into her house actually in order for me to stay there because her landlord wasn't welcome to new people staying there, which is understandable. So my situation was a lot harder, I feel like. Not to compare, but most people wouldn't have to go through what I have went through due to my decisions. I hear a lot about people leaving their house because they're going off to college or they're just deciding to move in to an apartment by themselves, finally leaving the nest, having stuff prepared for them for their journey ahead. So I feel like if I was a lot more prepared and a lot more mature mentally, with everything I've like the way that I move, the way that I talk, everything about me could have been differently. But that would have took away from what I went through and where I am now. So I'm glad the way that it turned out. I wish the journey was easier, but I can't complain from the results. So for me, it was negative and positive. I'm pretty sure everybody's journey has its ups and downs, and nobody wants to go through a lot of things they went.
Yeah, like I would interject and definitely say that everybody has their own experience. But I feel like for me, what it came down to is although the experience was hard and a little difficult, it definitely pushed me to put more into myself. Basically, it just really made me want to pour more into myself, to focus on nobody ever having the ability to control, where I laid my head or what I like, or put me through situations that I should have never been through. I feel like sometimes people fail to realize is that you can't sit up here and do things to people and think that, okay, I can come back later on and it's all good. Too often people sit up here and apologize for their behavior, but they have to realize that their actions sometimes play a result in how people live their lives. A lot of people don't sit here and make it out from being kicked out or tossed out or being pushed out of their family. Some people literally just go into a deep, dark depression or fall apart. Sometimes people don't know how to get back and navigate back to themselves because they get lost in the source of the depression of it all. Sometimes people are so used to being a victim, they don't know how to be a victor. So, I think I definitely feel where you're coming from. There definitely is a lot of positive and negative aspects that come from being pushed out too early or too soon or when you're not ready. But it also comes down to the part where if you played a role in why you being put out, that's a big thing. Or if it's a situation where it's like for me being pushed out had nothing to do with disrespect or me not doing what I was supposed to do. It just simply had to do with my sexuality. And I feel like at the end of the day, what it comes down to is people have to understand that plays a major role in why sometimes people commit suicide, people end up on drugs, people end up in environments that they should have never been in.
Yeah, I definitely agree. With me, I can say that I did not jump back at the way I was supposed to. I went about it the wrong way. I went. I didn't go straight for the easy help and the easy way out. Basically, I went the hard route. So, with that being said,
Well, what was the high route? That's what we want to know.
that part of the route was like I said earlier. I had to go stay with my friend and stay with my friend. Some people were like, oh, that could have been easy. No, it was not, because I had to change my whole life. I had to change the way that I got to work, the way that I got to school. I had to finish school later than I had to because of the decisions I made. And that definitely took a toll on me because I never wanted to graduate later than I had to. Even though it wasn't that much later, it was a few months later, it still happened.
So, do you feel like there was validation in the reason why there was a break in the relationship with your family at that point? Do you feel like you had valid reasons and they had valid reasons?
Most definitely. Most definitely. At that point in my life, I felt like my reasons were a little bit more valid. I was immature. So I didn't see both sides of the coin. I only saw my side. So I wasn't able to compare and contrast the decision of my mom not bringing me back into the household or even see where I was wrong at. I mean, I know my decisions were wrong, but I was more so focused on the hurt and the pain of it all than the reason why I did what I did.
Okay, so what did you do? Like, what is the breakdown and how did y'all fix it? Like, you don't have to tell us that in depth, but what we need to know, what was the breakdown? Because you're just saying you left home. I understand that because it was hard, but obviously there was a breakdown in the relationship that caused for you guys to break apart. Was it already falling apart? Was it a situation where, you guys already had a damaged relationship and it made it hard to bring it back together?
I think it was definitely falling apart over time. It wasn't nothing like that happened dramatically, that happened one day. It was definitely over time. And what had happened was the lack of understanding and the lack of acknowledgement in my life. I didn't feel heard, seen, felt. I didn't feel any of that. So with that alone, I didn't feel comfortable living inside my family anymore. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel like I could speak up. I didn't feel like I could be myself around my family anymore. So when I was being myself, I felt like I was being judged, or I was being shunned, or I wasn't being heard.
Well, was that open communication or is that just your personal thoughts?
No, it wasn't open communication at first. It wasn't because I didn't know how to communicate that feelings. But after I did communicate that feeling when I was about 17, 18, I started communicating more and more of my feelings towards my everyday feelings. It wasn't even towards anybody. It was just how I was feeling, how other people were making me feel, or how I felt like I wasn't being heard. It was getting taken as a phase or an excuse or
Well, what was being taken at? What behavior did your mother feel was being disrespectful or ill mannered towards her household? That's what I'm trying to get at is what behavior, because that's a broad topic. You know, that could mean anything.
exactly.
But if you're saying you didn't feel heard, we need to know, what did you not feel heard about?
My depression, my sexuality, my individuality, my masculinity, my there's so many things that I feel like I haven't been heard about in my household. But
And how
to
did you
that,
go about expressing that so that you could have the justification to say you didn't feel heard?
well, the first way that I did go expressing that was just blatantly saying outright, "Hey, I'm depressed," or "Hey, I'm bisexual," because at the time I did go as bisexual. I didn't want to get seen as less than a man. So with me knowing that I liked boys more than I like girls, even though I liked girls at times still, I didn't want either my brothers or my cousins or even my sisters to make me feel like, oh, because I liked boys more than girls, I was less than a man. So there was a lot of gates that I did fail to cross and paths that I did fail to take because I didn't know what it was to communicate healthfully. I didn't know how to communicate healthfully. So I definitely did fail in that aspect with communicating towards my feelings. And I didn't learn that honestly until I got older, until I got even in my 20s, because nobody had shown me what that was. Nobody had told me how to communicate, which I know is nobody else's job to teach me. It's my
It is somebody's job. You know, that's what it comes back to. Is, you know, that's a lot of the times why our parents do fail us in certain ways, because they're not perfect humans. They're not, you know, 100% always going to do the right thing. We understand that, but we also have to understand that our parents have to also realize that what it comes back to is how you treat your children. You have to be mindful of that. You know, you have to be mindful of how you make them feel. You know, you can't sit up here and expect your children to always agree with you. Sometimes you have to be the one to sit up here and say, you know what, I didn't learn this way, or I wasn't taught this way, but you know what, with you, I'm trying. You know, I think a lot of the times parents fail to understand that it's not about what you do, is how you say it. Because parents have the key to literally hurt you. They have the key to really like break your heart in ways. And I think sometimes they don't even realize how far they go sometimes with their mouths, that it puts you in a position where you just feel like, wow, I'm always going to be hurt because this is how my family made me feel, or they make me feel unwanted, or they make me feel unloved. And sometimes I always tell people, if you don't communicate how you feel, how do you expect people to change? How do you expect to navigate feelings that people don't know about, you know? It comes down to the fact that you have to be the one to be able to sit here and explain what you got, what you feel. But when you don't have those tools, it makes it harder.
yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like the reason I wasn't able to communicate my feelings effectively or healthily, I can't say that word. I'm sorry. But I wasn't taught that. And I feel like because my parent wasn't taught that either is the reason why I wasn't taught that. So it's like it some people may call it a generational curse. Some people may call it just lack of knowledge, lack of empathy, or just that just not acknowledging other people's feelings. But I feel like because my mother wasn't taught that, I wasn't given the chance to learn that. So it just comes back around to nobody knowing how to communicate appropriately or the right way, which I feel like there is no right way of communicating it. If you feel like cursing somebody out, curse them out. If you feel like talking softly, talk softly. Like, there is no right way of communication, but there definitely is a wrong way of communicating, which is either not communicating at all or communicating in a violent or a disrespectful way. And a lot of the times I've got not communicating at all. If I did get the communication, it was always a yelling or argument match, or even not hearing what I am saying or just responding just to respond. It was never sit down, listen to me, and not having a rebuttal back. It was always, oh, well, I do this, well, I do that, well, I tried to do this, well, I tried to do that. And it was always, well, I felt like it was always getting filled shortly. It was never something that always stuck and always, like, I'm not gonna lie, I did have a good childhood. I did. It was never really anything that had to do with lack of any materialistic or even people being around me, because I have a big family. My whole family has been around me my whole life, besides the years that I decided to take off from them. So with that, I definitely can say that it wasn't a lack of people being there to hear me out, or it wasn't a lack of people even asking me questions. I feel like the questions that the people were asking me, they weren't ready for the true answer, or they didn't know how to take the true answer into their own hands and take it without any disrespect or consequences. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the answers that I was giving, it was coming off of, oh, why are you blaming me for this? Or why are you trying to start something? Or why aren't you just being honest of what actually is the problem? When I'm telling you the problem, you're just not ready to hear it. So that's what the issue was with me communicating. I felt like either I couldn't, or even if I did, it wasn't being heard for what it was. It was getting heard from just in one ear, out the other. Or sometimes it did get heard. And I definitely felt when I was being heard, or when somebody did understand where I was coming from. But I feel like there was a part in my life that I didn't have the backbone in order to stand on a lot of things that I was feeling, because there was a lot of aspects in my life where I had to lean on other people.
Yeah, I can definitely understand where you're coming from. It definitely is hard when you have to get out there and get on your own and get on your own 2 feet, and you don't have a plan, or you're not prepared. Most of the time in life, if you're middle class or if you're poor, because honestly, being middle class is not actually a win. Sadly, being poor and being rich is a win, because if you're poor, you get more help, and if you're rich, you don't need help. So it's definitely what it comes back to is going into those shelter systems that you had to go through, and going through the shelter and trying to figure it out, sleeping outside on benches and being homeless. It definitely made you feel, I'm sure, like, wow, damn, does anybody care about me? That could be depressing. It can make you definitely feel like a little felt alone in this world. Even if you do come from a big family, when you feel like you have no one, and especially when you come from a large family, it definitely will make you feel like, damn, I had this big family. I remember these Christmases, these holidays, or these family gatherings, and then it's like I got older, and then all of that, it was just gone.
Just disappeared.
Yeah, like it's definitely a thing of like, I think I saw something where it was like 90s Christmas. I know you're a 2000 baby, but it was like people was showing like VHSs of Christmas in the 90s. It was no phones, nobody on the phone. It was grandma, uncle, them just talking, chilling, vibing. And even with phones, early 2000s, you definitely had more of a closer family unit, I feel like, than we do now. I feel like the family unit now of today is not as strong. And not in all communities, but and not in all households, but that family unit, those traditions, they really have been replaced by social media being the main factor of how people feel they can communicate with their families. I think we lack the ability to connect to each other now because we have more focused on individuality. It's okay to be independent, but you can't forget that you still do need people. You still need a family. You still need an environment that is safe. And family doesn't always equal the blood relation. Sometimes it's the family that you create outside that blood relation. And sometimes people don't understand that. And it's hard for them. It definitely is hard. I know it was hard for my family to see me so up and close on a relationship before. They haven't seen that. They know I've been in relationships, but they haven't like been around them consistently enough to actually understand how I am in a relationship. And like even them, they told me that, oh, that was a little different for us to really actually see you in that light, because we know you date men, we know you're with a man, but we've never really been around it consistently enough other than meeting the person once or twice, and then that's it. So it definitely is a thing where it comes back to is when you leave your family household, depending on if it was good or bad, it definitely can shape, or it can definitely play into the role of how your life goes after, how your family see each other, how you value each other. Because as much as we want to say, oh, we love our families and we love the people we grew up in, our cousins and aunties and uncles, the only time we see each other is at weddings and funerals nowadays. It's like the family reunion is a wedding or a funeral, or something bad happening, or just something really good. But outside of that, unfortunately, sadly, people don't even get together anymore like they used to. And that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I definitely feel that too. It definitely flipped my whole world upside down because it just showed me the reality of it all. Like and I strongly believe this. You really can't trust nobody but yourself, and that goes for everything. That goes for friends, family, and sometimes your significant other. I'm blessed to have somebody that I feel like I could trust with everything, with my health, with my financial, and with my mental. I feel like this is the most secure I've been in years, and that even includes my teenage years, which is sad because there was a point in my teenage years where I was dependent on my own. I fed myself, I clothed myself, I paid my own phone bill, got my own shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, toothpaste. Doesn't even matter. Everything that I did on my own, I did. The only thing that I feel like this is a feeling, if somebody wants to correct me, they can, but I doubt it. I feel like the only thing my family provided me for was a place to stay.
And that's a lot of the times the truth is they feel like you get to a certain age, you're supposed to be independent and do it all on your own. But what it comes down to is people have to stop putting 15 to 16-year-olds in adult mindsets, because a 15, 16-year-old is still a damn near 13, 14-year-old. They don't have the mindset or the capacity to understand the levels of what it takes to be an adult. And pushing them into it without navigating them through it is downright selfish.
It takes away from their childhood too, because even though they wanted to treat us as an adult, we are still children. We are still children, living teenagers. living our lives. We're trying to focus on school. We're trying to focus on, oh, is this girl into me? Or am I going to pass this test next week? Or did
Yeah.
somebody text me back for it? Who is beefing with me? Whatever it is.
I remember one time I told my professor in college, they was like, "Oh, who didn't do the homework?" I said, "Well, I did the. I was trying to do the homework by the street, like, cause I'm homeless." Like,
Oh, man.
yeah, I kept it real. I said I'm homeless. So I said I got kicked out for being gay, and I said it just like that. And they was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, so I didn't do the homework, but I did half of it." So they was like, the professor pulled me over. It's like, "Oh, you didn't have to say that in front of the class." I said, "I don't care." I said, "I'm at that point where I'm so down that I don't even care."
Yeah.
Yeah, I said,
Been multiple times like that for me. I feel like from the age 19 to the age 20, I did not care. I did not give two fucks about what was going on in my life. I was basically gone with the wind. I didn't stay in one place for too long, and ain't nobody know my last name. That should tell you a lot about what type of lifestyle that I was living at that time.
yeah, I can see that. I definitely will just say that if you're not ready or if you're not able to navigate through life at such a young age, it is sad that we don't have people ready to step in and literally just guide. But that's okay because, too often we always have to find it out on our own. Everybody I know that is my friend currently or has been my friend or a family member, I know most of us just got it out the mud. Most of us got it out the mud and made it happen. And I think what it comes back down to is we have to remember to always support ourselves, give ourselves love, give ourselves grace. Don't sit here and focus on what anybody else got going on as far as how they doing or where they are in life, at what age they're doing it at. Because the more you stay focused on the race that you run for yourself is the more that you'll have the ability to win it. You have to sit here and look forward. You can't look backwards and you can't look to either side. If you're not looking at that finish line and only that finish line, because there is no competition when you're running your life for yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely, the advice I could give to people that are listening to this is if you're going through hard trouble, just go through it. Don't fight it. Don't sit here and ignore it. Don't try to play like you're not going through it either, because
don't fall into the trap of being stuck in it.
That is, I feel like, one of my worst things that I've done in my life. Don't get stuck in your depression. Don't get stuck in your failures. See what you have done, learn from it, and move on.
So what word would you give to the people for today to end this episode? What would be an encouraging word to say?
Be true to yourself and don't let nobody be your failure. Not even yourself. I know you can go through really hard times, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be living.
That's right. And make sure y'all catch me on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And we're also on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is No Love Lost 24. This is No Love Lost 2.0. You can catch me on Apple and Spotify. And you can make sure you continue to show that love. Make sure you subscribe, share, like. We got new vlogs. We got new videos on the channel. 2.0 is taking over, y'all. Unfortunately, No Love Lost is currently not going on anymore. But No Love Lost 2.0 will continue on, and y'all keep showing that love. TikTok, Instagram. Make sure you guys go in there, like and share our videos. Make sure that you continue to show me love as I continue this journey solo dolo. But Mario definitely will jump on my podcast as well, and I'm gonna get him on here and have him do an episode because I know y'all miss us. But as of now, this is just me. It's No Love Lost 2.0. Keep showing that love, and remember, one love.